Any recording you hear on the radio these days was definitely not recorded in one take. Everyone does what is called comping, which is recording several takes, often done in smaller sections, not the whole song, just like 2 lines at a time, and then taking the very best parts from different takes, editing them together to compile the best sounding comp track. Chances are you're here because you want to level up your recording game and get a much more professional sound out of your home studio. I love you for that, and learning how to comp your vocals will absolutely help you with that. By the way, I'm Kimera, producer, writer, vocalist. You can read more about me in the description below and subscribe for more vocal production and plugin demo videos. Now, let's go over comping in Pro Tools. I want to start by giving you an overview of the method, and then I'll review our editing tools and show you best practices for editing the comp track. So here I have my lead vocal track. Normally it looks like this, just the waveform view, which you can toggle here. So I'm gonna put it into playlists. And as you can see, I've already recorded my takes. I actually keep a separate record track, and every time I record a take, I drag it down to the track I want it to be on. And in this case, since we're comping, instead of dropping the vocal right on, this would be called the main playlist, I'm dropping it in the playlists, and if I press play, we will not hear this vocal because it's hiding in the playlists. In order to hear these, you'd have to click this listen button. If this was actually up here and we pressed play, you would hear it as long as these were off. And again, I only really record like 2 lines at a time, and I personally like to comp as I go before I move on to the next line. So I have done 4 main takes, and we are gonna just cycle through and listen to them one at a time and choose our favorite parts. When we hear a word that we like, we're going to select that area and then click this arrow up button, and it's gonna pop it up to the main playlist. To do that, you need to be familiar with your editing tools, so let's just do a quick review. Right here are the editing tools, and you can click on one at a time if you want, but I like to keep it in Smart Tool, which is this like border selection. So when I have this engaged, I have access to all of my editing tools at once. And those appear based on where on the file you're hovering. So as you can see, when I'm hovering over the bottom of a WAV file, it becomes the hand grabber. So if I just click, it'll grab the entire region. But if I hover over the top, it becomes the selector tool. And that allows me to click anywhere. Mind you, I am in grid mode. If I were in slip, I would be able to truly click anywhere, but I keep it in grid mode. Extra tip, I keep it in grid mode at all times, and when I hold the command key, it allows me to be slipping so I can click anywhere I want. So grabber, selector, hover over the ends and you'll get that trim tool, right? And then if you hover over a top corner, it becomes the fade tool. So click here, drag in, and you get a fade. You can double click the fade and change the shape of it if you want. And then if you have 2 different regions side by side like that, and you were to hover over the top, you would not be able to crossfade these together. It's still just the fade tool. You would have to hover over the bottom, and that becomes the crossfade. So clicking here and dragging out will fade these 2 together, okay? So I'm just gonna undo all of that because we don't know if those are our takes yet. Back to the comping process. Since you are going to wanna crossfade these things together, it's a good idea to make your selections based on what's gonna be an easier edit, right? And by the way, this is what it sounds like.
I got a secret, if you wanna come and see it, there's a red door, meet me inside.
Okay, so say you wanted this word.
If you
want from this take, but then you want na from this take, that's not gonna be an easy edit. It's gonna probably sound like, even if we crossfade it, it doesn't really sound like a fluid edit. Sure, you will become a ninja at editing, and you might be able to spend time perfecting this and actually make that work, but for me, I like to keep it moving, so I choose easier edits. Middle of a word, not an easy edit point. Best places to edit are obviously between words, so like right here would be a good edit point, right? Like that. But there are other edit points that do work pretty well. The beginnings and ends of breaths tend to work really well. The beginnings and ends of the letter S or SH sounds. If I wanted maybe the beginning of this and the ending here, I can usually get away with this type of edit even though it doesn't look perfect. S's just tend to crossfade well because they're kind of the same sound and the same frequency no matter what pitch you're singing on. The S's tend to sound the same. I find this also works pretty well with F's and H's. Sometimes T's, but we tend to hit the T really quickly. Consonants can work, but as you can see, like right here,
Come and see.
that K, it's landing on a different spot and it's so quick that we'd have to do a little more handiwork, which you'll get to see when we actually get into the comp. So let's just do exactly that. So I'm probably just gonna listen to the first few words at a time and make my decisions before listening to the second half.
I got a secret if you wanna come. I got a secret if you wanna come and.
Wow.
I got a secret if you wanna come. I got a secret if you wanna come and. I got a secret if you wanna come and.
I kind of like how choppy this part is, so I think I'm going to take purple. I'm gonna take this choppy kind of one, and then I like this. All right, let's move on to the next line.
Come and see it, there's a red door. Me. Come and see it, there's a red door.
Okay, I don't know what I was on in that take.
You wanna come and see it, there's a red. Wanna come and see it, there's a red door. Me. Wanna come and see it, there's a red door.
I like the energy of this one. I think so far like the pitch sounds the best on this one, but sometimes you can choose a pitchier take if the energy and the tone is more what you were looking for, because we can just fix the pitch later.
Come and see it, there's a red door. Meet me inside. There's a red door, meet me inside. There's a red door, meet me inside.
Ooh, I kind of like that whispery.
Red door, meet me inside. Red door, meet me inside. Red door, meet me inside.
I like that side. Can I just take the side?
Door, meet me inside.
All right, let's say that's my comp. Now, you're probably wondering why I haven't played this one. I wanted to show you another technique that we use in comping. If you went through all your takes, you got your comp track, but say maybe there's still a couple words that you just aren't sold on. You don't need to do the whole take again. You will do what's called punching in. And so let's say I just wanted, there's a red door.
There's a red door, meet.
We can just focus on nailing those couple words. But you're not gonna wanna just sing those couple words. You wanna follow through. You wanna sing along with a few of the words before it and a few of the words after it so that it will become a very natural comp. So let's take the there's a red door and pop that up. And I think this is gonna be our final comp. Now that we have our selections, we need to get into the editing. And we're gonna go left to right. We always want to fade in and fade out. So I'm definitely gonna have my fade ins and fade outs, and then we'll do our cross fading. These should be pretty straightforward because I was between words, but look at how differently I landed on the next line. I will cross fade it here, but when we're done, we're gonna listen back and the timing might need to be adjusted. So say this part is a little late, what we're gonna do is called nudging. And you're gonna need this AZ button engaged to get this set of quick key commands. On the keyboard, it's gonna be the plus and comma. They also have what looks like arrows. So it's these arrows. We touch them left, right, it will nudge it. And how much it will nudge it is set up here, how long your nudges are. If we had it in bars and beats and we nudged it, that's like, I just nudged it an entire quarter note to the right. We don't want that. I like to keep my nudging always in samples, which is a very, very small increment of time. And I keep it about 1,000 or 100 samples. So let's go to 100 and we could just nudge it a little bit to the left. Let's go along. This is gonna be pretty easy. If you want to see better, I might increase the vertical view. This is just increasing the view, it's not increasing the volume. And just making sure there's not any weird clicky looking sounds, like this is like a clicky sound. I just want to be mindful of where I'm putting these. Oh wow, look at that. So this might be a case where I would actually not crossfade and I would just do it like that. Moving along, that looks pretty good. That looks pretty good too, but we have to come back and listen. And then here we go, we have an S sound and the timing is pretty different. So I think what I'll probably do is just start at the beginning of that S and let's see how it sounds timing wise if I just nudge that and then I crossfade it there. All right, let's take a listen to our comp. Since this is on the main playlist, as long as I don't have any of these engaged, we will hear the main playlist.
I got a secret if you wanna come and see it. There's a red door, meet me inside.
Cool, this sounded really unnatural to me, so I wanna go examine how I can make this better. I'm gonna turn on the instrumental too so we can hear it.
Wanna come and see it there.
I think it's just kind of late, so I'm gonna nudge it. Let's see how that feels.
I got a secret if you wanna come and see it. There's a red door, meet me inside.
That's a lot better. I think what I'm gonna try, and here's another technique, is time stretching this a little baby bit so it's a little bit longer so there's not this big gap right here. We're gonna go to our trim tool and hold it down and change it to the TCE. This is for time stretching. You cannot time stretch if there's a fade on that region. So first things first, to time stretch this, we need to delete our fades and we'll bring them back in just a second. And then I am going to trim this out and it's going to stretch this entire region just a little bit. Let's see, let's do like that much. See how it stretched it out? Don't forget to turn it back to the standard trim tool. I'm gonna put my fades back and listen back now.
I got a secret if you wanna come and see it. There's a red door, meet me inside.
All right, awesome. I think I'm pretty happy with that comp. I am going to definitely want to melodyne this next to make sure that the pitch is super perfect because we need perfection in pop music. Leave me a comment below if you need a video on how to melodyne and I will definitely hook you up with that in a future video. From there, after you tune this, you might want to add some background vocals. And I do not comp my background vocals. I pretty much always try to nail it in one take. If I felt like I didn't hit it, I'll just record it again. And then if it feels like it's almost there, but I need to maybe just punch in a couple words, that's what I'll do. I love to teach the essentials of vocal recording, which is why I have this playlist. So you can learn everything from setting up a vocal chain to getting a fuller mix and even setting up your entire template. So click subscribe and then click on this playlist to jump into the next video. See you there.